think this is now connected. Maybe. Oh man. It's like I aged 40 years in 4 months. See if I can figure this out. Aha, it is working. At least I think it is. All right. I'm early, so I think I'm talking just to myself, which is fine. Let's see if I can hear myself. Get my stream up and going here. I think it is. Oh, yeah. Great. Okay, it is working. Fantastic. Got my little chat pop up, which actually works. No, I don't want top chat. I want live chat. I learned that trick from other YouTubers. Any of you who are trying to be YouTubers and you have a stream and you have OBS and it pops up a little chat, you have to look at the top and switch from top chat to live chat in order to get all chat messages. Otherwise, it'll filter stuff. Hey, Monster. How are you? Whew. Let's see here. Also going with the bad YouTuber theme here. People's display names show up differently for me in different areas. So if I ever call you by the wrong name, I'm sorry. I'm calling you whatever is showing up for me. Okay, I'm early, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hang out for a minute. Make sure anyone who wants to show up for this extremely professional stream has a chance to do so. Oh, I got a notification for my own channel being live. That's cool. I guess that's good to know. Ooh, food. Food is good. I had food a little bit ago, but I will have food after this. I have tea right now. Some sort of like black, it's like black hazelnut. It's weird. It's good though. Ooh, cool. Even better. I'm not going to be doing anything worth watching for sure. This is a very, very relaxed stream so that we can try to get my brain slightly more focused on something besides video games. Oh, hello, Arasaya, I think, and Brian. Hints on the next video? Yes. So it's recorded. I just need to actually edit the audio and then edit the video. So I need to do all the editing, which is why I haven't done it. It's a cryptid. But it's a cryptid that's solved with a very interesting scientific process. And it's relatively old, too. 30 years, something like that. So not a super complicated story, but really interesting because they had actual samples to work with. So it was one of those ones that I saw as a little kid. I saw pictures and like a little bit of a write-up, but not like the solved, thing. It was all like, ooh, spooky. And it always stuck with me. So I wanted to cover it. I think it's an interesting one, but it's not going to be super long. Oh, Monster, yes. I actually had a Let's Play channel at one point. It's defunct and I have no idea how to get back into it. And it was kind of bad anyway. But yes, I've done some Let's Plays and I would be willing to do them in the future. I'm just really weird about how I play video games. So it would have to be something probably pretty relaxed. Because otherwise I get like really, really focused and I'm not very entertaining when I'm playing those sorts of games. But if it's something like Minecraft or whatever, I can be more relaxed with it. Hey, Mr. and Mad Waffle. Hello. Let's see, it's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to give just another minute or two, and then we'll work on some stuff. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do after I finish you know, the next video, the one that I have recorded that I need to get edited and posted, obviously I need to work on the Urban Legends iceberg, but that takes so long. It's one of those things that I have to like be focused on, and my brain definitely is not focusing right now. So I'm gonna try to do something else, I think, in between, but I'm trying to decide what I want to do in between. I've just done a whole bunch of cryptids, so no need for more cryptids, I don't think. I was thinking about doing a new one that was actually the first script I ever really wrote for a YouTube video, and I can rework it, and I don't have to write a brand new one because I'm really lazy. It's for Devil's Kettle, which is an interesting geological feature that was recently kind of solved, and of course the Strid would be a second topic, but I'd probably need a third. I was thinking about something called, oh god, I've forgotten. It wasn't very interesting, I can assure you that. It was kind of like a creepypasta, so there's probably not a lot to it. There is a debunking. People have found where the original photograph came from and all of that, but I'm not sure I want to use it. It's probably not going to be very interesting, so I've tried to figure out a third topic. Of course, between the Devil's Kettle and the Strid, it might be long enough for a single video. Oh, Monster, I have 2 versions of the Until Dawn beta that work, sort of, but I have to reset them up. I'm not entirely sure they're on my main desktop anymore. I will have to dig them out. And I got annoyed because I know there's a more complete one that other people have, but I don't know where it is or where to get it. I have to like message people. I still want to do a ROM dump of the finished released Until Dawn, and I also need to do a let's play of it with my God, my brain just shut off, I'm sorry. I have a disc. So there is a particular set of glitches that occur in Until Dawn with the disc edition or the original base unupdated edition in digital form. And there are several glitches that can occur around Chapter 9. The problem is you have to play all the way to Chapter 9, and you're not really guaranteed to get these glitches to happen. So I've just kind of been too lazy to do it. Supermassive creating a Scream game. Are they doing that? Bonafide Burrito Boy? I don't know. I mean, if they did, that would be pretty cool. I know that they're working with Dead by Daylight, which is awesome. I'm really interested in seeing a Dead by Daylight world Supermassive game. That's pretty sweet. Dead by Daylight has really strange lore. It's very cool, though. Okay. Mad Waffle, no worries. I don't know animating stuff in SFM. Is SFM a program? Animating is crazy, and I've tried to do it like twice, and I suck at it, so I'm always impressed. Oh, they delayed Directive 8020. Yeah, I think I looked like 3 days ago about a release date, and they didn't have one. So, yeah, who knows. Supermassive's wild that way. They love to just like announce something and then it never comes out, but then they just announce that they completed a completely different game, and they're like, hey, what do you know, here you go. True mad lads over there. Okay, so aside from Mysterious Depths, I had really been considering doing some video game stuff, tying into the Let's Play thing, because I really do like, you know, video game horror and internet horror and spookiness. There are a few topics that I had thought about going over, but a lot of them dip into the ARG side, and people aren't as interested in ARGs, and neither am I. So I didn't want to like go for a full one of those, like covering Kanye Quest or something. Like Kanye Quest, weird. I did do a little deep dive on Radbad, which was interesting, but I put that on my other channel because it was a while ago. But I was considering doing something more abstract, like the existential horror of digital pets, because virtual pets are, oh my gosh, they have been such a storied history. I didn't think the mocap was as bad in Devil and Me Monster, but the game barely worked. Like, it was so much longer, and it had new features, and there were a lot of things I liked about Devil and Me, but oh my god, was it broken. It just, we got stuck. I played it with my parents. We got stuck in a rock for quite a while. We had to reboot the whole game. It kept freezing and all that crap. So, well, good luck, Mad Waffle. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. Um, Apparently, it really takes a lot of work and a long time. My brother does video games, and he used to do animation for 3D models, but he doesn't really do it anymore. He works on the programming side now. Oh, Brian, yeah. Sleep paralysis is super wild. I really like the urban legends that have like an almost universal component, and the way that it's like the way that it like you were saying with the different cultures and stuff, the way that different cultures interpret certain things. Um, there was something I wanted to say specifically, and I've forgotten about it. But instead, I'm remembering the Phantom Hitchhikers and how that is an almost universal story in slightly different variations, but pretty much every culture has uh, um, something to do with that. Sorry, guys, I'm like still so out of it from the last few months. It has been a whole time. Um, Hi, Devin. Monster, he does something. I think there are two games he's worked on the market, but I'm the worst sister. I don't know which ones they are. I know he works with the company that makes Rec Room or something like that. Something I'd never heard of because I'm old as shit. So like, he used to do concept art, and then he did sculpting and animation and rigging, and now he does programming for like lighting effects and for like streamlining code and optimizing stuff, things like that. Oh my god, Mad Waffle, you can do it. Yeah. Um, it is so confusing. Like, I've looked into so many different things, and people are like, "Oh, Flash is really easy," and of course Flash is dead now, and it's just I was all like, I made flip books when I was a child. That was was about as good as I got. Corey, yeah, I loved digital pets as a kid. I had so many, but as an adult, I was really thinking about a particular virtual pet game that I loved, which was the Cats series, Cats with a Z. Let me here so that we are not just staring at a blank screen. Um, Here, the Cats 5. I think that this is. Oh God, I'm sorry, I'm blinding you guys. Um, I think it may be just like abandonware now, and you can just download it. Um, but I loved this game, and Cats 3, which I had as a kid, and you basically just raise your little virtual pets, and they can breed, and you can have like genetics come out, and you can modify it, and you can mod it just by hex modding. And so little tiny like 8-year-old me was like color coding my cats and then breeding special cat breeds. There's a whole online community involved with it, and I kept thinking about going back and playing it again. And then I remembered that as a kid, I basically ended up downloading a mod that let me skip time rather than having to play in real time. Because normally, your cats take a while to grow up and all of that before they can breed. And I didn't want to wait for that. So there were some tricks and different ways to mod it. And so I never ended up actually playing the game all that much. It was literally just modding until I would get the breeds that I wanted, if not straight up modding the breeds. And I was thinking about the inherent kind of like, analysis that could go with that, about how these things that are already just pixels and that can already be treated as disposable pixels are really treated as disposable pixels when you don't even really play with them. And then the same thing, of course, with gigapets and nanopets and neopets, where my neopets have probably been starving for the last 7 years because I've forgotten my password. And Flight Rising, where my dragons are definitely starving because I know that they are. But how there's never any real consequences for these things. And so you get this weird relationship with your virtual pets where you can be really attached when it comes to keeping them and not wanting to get rid of them. But you can also obviously be treating them like digital pixels and pictures, which is what you should be treating them as, because they're not real, but like the inherent weird relationship that sort of encourages in children. Also, when I was a kid, I had a Gigapet. It was a Gigapet cat. Let me see, Giga Kitty, something like that. Yeah, these little guys. I had one of these, CompuKitty, and it was really cool, except for the fact that it would start out, as a kitten like this, and this is like a full size cat where that's like fatter, and the kitten, it takes a few days to grow up, and then it becomes the full size cat, and you have the taking care of it and blah blah blah. And eventually, it dies, and you get a new kitten, and the little new kitten screen, is a little kitten climbing out of a basket and, coming to your doorstep, which is very very cute. The problem was, is as a child, I had a rare glitch, and every so often, like I want to say in hundreds, out of every hundreds or so, you would have your pet die, and you would get the kitten crawling out of the basket, but it wouldn't look right. It would be like stretched. So it would be like cat height, adult cat height, but it would be like thin, and it would step out of the basket and come onto your screen, and then no matter what you did, it would die in like less than a minute. And I remember that scaring me so much as a kid, because it happened to me multiple times, 3 or 4 that I remember. But I've never heard of anyone else ever having this glitch. I couldn't find any information on it. And I actually ended up buying a virtual pet, one of these guys, when I was in grad school and trying to catch this glitch happening. But I ended up knocking over a very heavy water bottle onto it, and it now just screams. It just makes a really high-pitched, horrifying noise. And so I took its batteries out. And I haven't decided whether I want to try to buy another one of these or not. So yeah, that's my scary virtual pet story. Monster, my favorite cryptid, probably the one I'm going to cover in my next video, actually. So I don't want to spoil it too much, but I have another honorable mention, which is not favorite. It's just the one that horrified me the most, and it's called Deloy's ape. I might do a video on it at some point. It's been debunked, but the picture is scary. So if you're afraid of monkeys, don't look at it. If you're not afraid of monkeys, go and behold the horror. Yeah, Brian, it would be one way to really look at it. I didn't even really think about The Sims. They're a whole extra level of horror of their own. Monster, it would just kind of be like, a little more atmospheric, probably. That's why I haven't really decided to do it yet. I have to do some more research. What I'd probably be doing is kind of looking into the history of the different virtual pets, seeing if I can find some discussion on, people's relationships with them, how much they meant to them or didn't mean to them, and any glitches I can find. I'm sure that there were other games that glitched out, not just my one singular CompuKitty. I gotta get another one of these. But this is why I only bought that one. They're like $60. I bought it on eBay. But I broke it. So actually, I should try to fix it now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know why. It was one of the first Gigapets ever released. I don't know why. Oh my god, I don't want to. Do I want to go somewhere? Stop. Leave me alone. Yes, I do. Oh, it's just an expired certificate. Whatever. I don't care. So yeah, it'd just be kind of a weird little... Oh, my second wave of these pets released with a speaker upgrade that let them make real animal noises? I don't want that. That's awful. Oh yeah, Brian. Yeah, no worries. You actually just reminded me about Nintendogs, because I know that that's like a more modern one that people have had a lot of discussion about, and how they'll forget their Nintendogs even existed, and then they'll suddenly remember and be like, oh my god, my dog. We also had, of course, Furbies, which Corey mentioned. My Furby, I don't know what happened to it, actually. I don't think it died. I think it was fine. I didn't really bond with it very much, though. It was a whole weird time for me. I know that what was really popular at the time too were these little robot dogs. They were really, really cute. I never had one because they were like a lot of money. They were Hasbro, I think. Robot puppy? No. Roboto puppy. No. These guys. Yeah, these little dudes. These guys were really, really cute, and I didn't have any because they were expensive, and but they were pretty cool. Actually, I don't really know anybody that had them either. One of those things where you saw them on on TV. No, I don't. I don't care if this is my last article, Atlantic. Can you please tell me what these actually were? It was with Tiger Electronics. Yeah. Oh my god, if you had two of them, they would sing duets. I forgot about that on the commercials. Sonic games. I am so unfamiliar with Sonic games, honestly. I'm like a fake gamer. Uh, as a child, I read the Sonic comics, and I was really into it, which is why when I make fun of Sonic, I feel like I have some basis to make fun of Sonic from. But I honestly know so little about the games. I've only ever played the one on the Sega Genesis. The original? I don't know. Uh, I do know it's wild though. The lore is wild and the games are wild. I know there's like lost media and a bunch of other stuff that has to do with it. Okay, I should be making some notes. Pretend this is an actual research stream and not just me like fucking around on the internet. I've been playing Paints Creek Killings, and so my brain is just like on on a different video game right now. Okay, okay, Furbies and Nintendogs. These little fuckers, Poochies, Gigapets, the Pets, Cats Saga. I was surprised that the cats community still exists because I think the last game came out in like 2002 or something. But there's still a thriving community online for it. Yeah, 2002. I miss this game. It was fun. I played this one originally, Cats 3. So you can tell just how ancient I am. It was so much fun. They were so cute. There's hardly any pictures. I had also considered doing a emergency alerts video, but I was worried that it would be too eccentric to America because I wouldn't be able to successfully research emergency alerts and emergency broadcasting systems in other countries. But there's just something so scary about emergency alerts, and those of you in America who had the misfortune of being in Florida in like April might have remembered the horrifying wake-up call that we got because somebody pressed the wrong button and they pushed an alert that should have been for television through to cell phones, and it bypassed all of the automatic, don't alert for test things that are built into the iPhones, and it just blared it straight through to everybody and woke up the entire state at 4 a.m. And Florida's already on edge. We really can't have everyone being woken up at that time in the morning. Oh yeah, other virtual pets, I totally forgot. Neopets. And Flight Rising, sure, why not? We'll include Flight Rising. Flight Rising's pretty modern though. Did Webkins die? And by die, I mean, could they like starve? Could something happen to your Webkins? I had one Webkin, and I did not play long enough to remember. I had Cats 4 as well. Very serious business. I don't really understand why they updated them every single year. They barely changed them at all. It was basically the same game every single time. Monster, yes. I have played Resident Evil 7 and 8. Actually, I 100% did Village and its DLC. I have to go back and finish 7. I've seen it all the way through. multiple times, but I haven't played it all the way through. And my brother bought me Resident Evil 4 for my birthday, so I didn't get a chance to play it due to recent events, but I have it installed and I'm ready to play it. Corey, yeah, broadcast intrusions are spooky. And I think that it's really interesting to look into. I thought about covering it actually, and then I kind of got distracted because I was looking at lists of broadcast intrusions, and I've found that a lot of them include the Wyoming incident, which is actually an ARG, but it was one of those ones that people didn't quite realize was an ARG for a very long time, so it actually still shows up on real lists of broadcast intrusions. So I thought about covering the Wyoming incident, but it's an ARG, and again, I'm not super interested in them. Everyone else is not super interested in them. Also, apparently, the Wyoming incident kind of sucked. Like, it started out really, really good, and then it got really, really boring and just kind of tapered off into nothing. But I thought about looking into it. I also thought about looking into actual interesting broadcast intrusions. I'm just not totally sure what I could add to the subject, but I might look into it. I was not very good at signals when I took physics. I had a very hard time figuring out the way that they worked and how to correctly encode them and decode them and all of that. So I couldn't even really add a good physicist side of things. Mad Waffle, I love analog horror, but it is oversaturated, so I'm not sure which of them to actually pay any attention to. So Local 58 is basically the only one that I'm still following. I thought it was really, really good, but it was, once they kind of revealed what was going on, I kind of lost interest. And if Marble Hornets counts, which I guess it sort of counts, since it was sort of analog, I guess, if you count the VHS tapes and things. Watched it, of course. And I really like analog horror as a genre, but it's getting very tired at this point. So people have to do something new with it in order to make it really interesting. But I love Local 58. So anyone who hasn't watched Local 58, I definitely recommend it. The videos are not super long. Contingency is my favorite. And so is one of the ones, oh God, I don't even remember what it's called now. Let's just go find Local 58. The one with the horrible civil danger warning. That one freaks me out. Speaking of emergency alerts, I had never seen a civil danger warning before seeing the one on Local 58. It might be Weather Service. I don't know. Anyway, super creepy stuff. I actually saw a civil danger warning for the first time ever a few weeks ago, but it was a test alert. I was so freaked out by it, though. Civil danger warnings are absolutely spooky compared to just like your normal, alerts. Yeah, Corey, Local 58 is actually by a really kind of renowned horror maker. He wrote Candle Cove, if you've ever if you've ever read it. And Channel Zero is his as well. Chris Straub. He also has a little book, I have it somewhere, called like the Icor Falls Welcome Guide or something. And he has just tons and tons of stuff. Super, super good writer and super good creator. Makes really nice spooky stuff. And I really like that he makes these kind of spooky things and then doesn't pretend they're real. So, it's not like it's about tricking people into thinking it's a real thing. They're just really nice standalone horror pieces. Monster, I liked Mandela Catalog, but it just didn't grab me. So I watched like the first few videos of it. I may have watched Matt Pat watch the first few. I can't remember whether I watched it directly or not. But I liked it. I thought it was spooky at first. The angel stuff was spooky, but I haven't kept up with the latest seasons. I think I only watched season 1. Mad Waffle, a VHS FNAF series, go for it. I mean, if you want to do it, FNAF is such an interesting world to play with, and it's got such a huge community that's always into new good stuff. So they will, if you make something good, people will like it. So I know that VHS and analog horror with FNAF is very popular right now. So, no better time. I have actually, speaking of FNAF, I I have been wondering whether I would bother to do it, and if I did, whether I would bother to put on this channel. But a part of me wants to go back and look at the entire FNAF series. This would be a big departure from my normal channel stuff, but part of me wants to go back and look at the entire FNAF series and look at what is only factual information, like only details and true information that we know from canon sources, and then like put all of that in one video, in one big section, go like game by game, you know, and then like the books and the movie when it comes out, even though I know it's not going to be related, it's going to be alternate universe most likely, but do all of that and just find the facts without in the extrapolation or the interpretations or all that other stuff that just kind of becomes like fanon. But it's a lot of work, and I'm kind of lazy, and it doesn't really fit with my channel, but I like FNAF, so I've just been like, so I don't know, I've been thinking about it, but that would be something I would work on in the background. That would not be a featured video. If I decided to do this on this channel, it would come out alongside something else rather than replacing something, because I know that the majority of people watching my channel would not be interested in FNAF, let alone a scientific FNAF review paper style thing. It'd be ridiculous. Oh, speaking of review papers, I should find one. There was I bookmarked it and I've completely forgotten. Okay, this is our lowest spinning pulsar that we have confirmed. I bookmarked one a few days ago that spins like a lot. Stop trying to make me pay to read science. This is why we have these problems today. Okay. Okay, let me look on my other thing. Pull it over my other screen so that you guys can't see all my crazy bookmarks. Oh wait, no, that won't even work over here. Anyway, people keep talking about this thing that shouldn't exist, and because it's like this radio pulse that's like really far in between. Sorry, I cannot type and think at the same time. Ultra low rise genes, nobody wants those. Ultra low spin rate magnetar. Anyway, people keep talking about this particular pulsing thing that's happening way too slow to supposedly be a neutron star, but it's like literally anytime you see something that is a signal that repeats rhythmically, it's always a pulsar, even if it's not behaving how you're supposed to behave. And because pulsars just do crazy stuff whenever they want to. Our models for them are not good. We have a whole bunch of special outliers that don't match any of our information, so it's not a surprise that something would not be working. It's never aliens, guys. I hate to tell you. And by you, I mean TikTok. But, yeah. I don't remember which one it is. Hello, Velvet. Or Velvet Eyes. Sorry, I don't know why I just read one. I'm sorry, I'm really stupid today. Like, it's extremely bad right now. Corey. Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure where the video essay line is between, like, the kind of videos I'm already doing. They're already probably counting as video essays. But yeah, I'm interested in anything that requires, like, researching a topic. Stop! Researching a topic and then, like, synthesizing it and presenting it. I think that that's really fun. Sorry, I'm going to try to concentrate for a second. Okay. Nobody cares about fast radio bursts. Okay. This is the one every 18 minutes. I don't know if this is the same one. It had a G name. Yeah, fast radio bursts. I don't care about fast radio bursts. Can we please get to the slow? I saw its catalog name. It didn't have a common name, so obviously I'm not going to remember G and then a whole bunch of letters and numbers. So you can see how things are named. This is a fast radio burst. Nobody remembers these. So you do a lot of copying and pasting when you are doing astronomy. Could somebody please actually have the thing I'm talking about? Okay, radio waves, blah, blah, blah. Please tell me the name of this object. As you can see, there are lots of these. I was going to discuss one in specific. This is not right. Like, this is just straight up not correct. The pulsars spin on the order of milliseconds to a few seconds, and magnetars can rotate as slowly as once every 10 seconds. It's not true. We have we have much slower spinning things than that on both sides, pulsars and magnetars. An ultra long period magnetar. Right, exactly. That's what we're trying to look for. Why does nobody name the things? I know that they have stupid catalog names, but you could at least paste the stupid catalog name in. Could somebody please give me the catalog name? Yeah, I know, right? Corey, one of the things that was always funny was when I was in grad school, I would travel a lot, of course, because I would fly across the country to come back home on breaks and stuff. So I would do a lot of layovers, and GPM, it might be this one. I would do a lot of layovers, and when I would hang out in the bar at an airport, because of course that's the only thing that you really can do, I would of course start chatting with people, and like the first thing that people would ask, and you talk about, is what you were doing, what your job is, or why you're traveling. As soon as I said I was going home from grad school, they would be like, "Oh, what are you studying?" And I was like, "Oh, astrophysics." And the first question, literally multiple people asked me, was, "So are there aliens?" And I'm like, dude, probably, but none of the alien crap you're reading is real aliens. Like, I can pretty much bet on it. Okay, yes, this is the 22-minute rotation. So basically, going on a space diversion for a little bit here, as if we haven't already been going on a space diversion. They're saying a potentially unique ultra-long period magnetar, located 15,000 feet away. Basically, the biggest issue with it is that it rotates very, very slowly. So we have a rotation speed of 22 minutes, and bursts of radio waves lasting up to 5 minutes. So the way a pulsar works, a neutron star that is, I should go back a minute. Neutron stars, super, super compressed stars. Some of you may already know this, and I'm sorry for the review. Super, super compressed objects that are basically dead star cores. When a star of a certain mass reaches the end of its life, it blows off all of its outer layers, and the inner core collapses. And if you have a very, very massive star, this core continues to collapse until it becomes a black hole. If you have a lower mass star like the sun, it'll collapse until it's held up by electron degeneracy pressure, and you get a white dwarf. If you have something in between, it can crush past the electron degeneracy pressure and be stopped only by neutron degeneracy pressure, which is very, very, it's kind of a delicate line here between these, continuing to just collapse forever. It's basically the last support. So you have an extremely compact object, like absurdly small, and they rotate very, very quickly because they're supposed to conserve angular momentum of the original star, which I actually did the calculation on this when I was writing my thesis, and it was a mess because we were estimating about a bazillion things. But basically the idea is that whatever was not blown off of the star that kind of adds to its own rotation, but that's a separate thing, is conserved. Momentum and rotation are conserved, and you end up with a very, very fast spinning, very, very small object. So they use the figure skater analysis or analogy, where if you have a figure skater who's rotating with their arms out on the ice, when they pull their arms in, they begin to rotate much, much more quickly, and that's just because you've changed the angular momentum. It's a conservation law in stars. It's not really the same thing in figure skating, but it gives you a general idea. So you have an extremely compact object that's spinning very, very, very quickly. So the magnetic alignment of a star like this is not always directly on its axes. It can be tilted. Magnetic fields can tilt. You have magnetic north and all of that. It's too much stuff. Nobody cares. Basically, the magnetic field, however it's aligned, you have this beam that comes off, and it's just energy from the star. And it creates this kind of lighthouse effect. And if that lighthouse effect happens to be turned toward Earth, we see the object pulse as it rotates, and that's why it's called a pulsar. We believe all neutron stars are pulsars, but if they're aligned in a way that we don't see the pulse, they don't get the designation. So that is how pulsars work. The problem is that we have very, very weak understanding of the details. So, like I said, just even that angular momentum calculation was extremely loose, because there was a huge margin of error, because we're just estimating a whole lot of stuff. And there's a lot of complicated factors at play, not just for the collapse of the star itself, but the rest of the star material, like the supernova material, and interactions of the pulsars with different objects, and blah, 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 and if they conserve their magnetic fields, and blah, blah, blah. So a magnetar is an extremely high magnetic field pulsar. So they get their own name. They have magnetic fields many times greater than a regular pulsar. And we think that that's due to conservation of magnetic field, but again, like I said, it's all like super weak and wobbly information. This is all to say that we don't understand how pulsars work very well. So when you research an individual pulsar, chances are good you're going to find an outlier. I may have, from my thesis, a graph of how fucked up the pulsar I was researching was compared to all of the others. And it's never really been noted as being messed up, but when I looked at it compared to the others, it just was an outlier in almost all of the trends you're supposed to see. And the idea of me saying that is that, we just have really strange behavior in pulsars. So the idea that there's an extremely slow spinning one is really not that shocking to people that study pulsars. I mean, it's outside of the parameters of what we would expect, but that happens a lot. Like the one I was studying is a millisecond pulsar, it's almost a millisecond pulsar. I can't remember. It's like right on the line. Millisecond pulsars rotate in the milliseconds instead of seconds. And they're supposed to be considered very, very old pulsars because it's believed that they kind of gain angular momentum due to absorbing it from nearby other stars. It's this weird binary effect. But the pulsar that I studied was much, much too young for this to be an explanation. It didn't make any sense. So that already was messing up, and it's not the only one like that. There are others that are much too young to be millisecond pulsars that are millisecond pulsars, and no one has any explanation, and you just shrug and go, that's weird. And the same thing goes for this guy. We have an extremely slow spinning pulsar or magnetar, which shouldn't happen, but if it's rotating that slowly that we only see the pulse every 22 minutes, the beam is probably turned toward us for 5 minutes, which is why we see the radio waves lasting up to 5 minutes, which makes sense. So as it's rotating, it's just going very, very slowly across you. Think of it like a regular lighthouse. If the lighthouse's beam rotates very, very slowly, more time is spent with the beam on you. So makes perfect sense. I saw a paper that was discussing the idea that it was actually slowed, its rotation speed was actually slowed by fallback of the stellar material that is typically ejected from the outer layer of the star during the pulsar collapse. And typically this extra layer hovers around the pulsar and creates a pulsar wind. which is basically just this, well, a pulsar wind nebula. The pulsar wind comes off of the pulsar itself. So the nebula heats up and it creates really strange effects. They were specifically what I studied for my thesis. But the idea here was that the outer layers may not have stayed as a nebula. They may have fallen back onto the pulsar. And if they were rotating in a different direction for any reason and they fell back onto the pulsar, they would kind of drag it, and they would cause its speed to slow down. So that was the paper that I looked at for an explanation for why you could have a 22-minute magnetar, but that is absurdly slow rotation speed. So yeah, that's whenever you see anyone talking about extremely slow radio pulses and then they're like it's aliens, it's probably not. It's probably just a really weird pulsar. So don't be too surprised. If it's not a pulsar, it's probably a active galactic nuclei of some sort. So space is cool, but it's also boring because that's pretty much the answer to everything. If you see anything pulsing weirdly, it's a pulsar or it's an active galactic nuclei. Okay, that was not at all what this research stream is supposed to be about, but there, space. Hello, Floopy and the Grey Dawn. Right now, pulsars, apparently, because I got distracted. And originally, I was talking about what topics I was thinking about covering for a video after the one that I've already recorded. And I was thinking about researching weird, creepy stuff about virtual pets, from glitches to like abandoned pet worlds to like just people's relationships with their virtual pets that they just kind of toss out, even though they can have these really strong bonds and then they just kind of get bored and forget about them. And I thought it was really interesting. And I told a story about the horrifying glitch I used to have with the Gigapet and how I'm really interested in seeing what other types of glitches people might have had. I bet I can get people on Reddit to discuss glitches. Maybe somebody did have the same one I had. Then we also discussed broadcast intrusions and emergency alerts, and then that got off into analog horror, and then I'm not completely sure why I got distracted off into pulsars, but, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. But I'm going to close these so that I don't stay distracted. For anyone curious, it's JPM J1 839-10. This is most likely a coordinate location of some sort. I don't remember the catalog names. There's so many of them. There's like 3 or 4 different huge catalogs, and they use different sets of coordinates. But the coordinates tell you where in space, obviously, the object is, and it gets a name based on that. So it's obnoxious. Things are known by like 14 different names. Let me just grab one here. I thought this might have some other designations, other catalogs designations, but it doesn't. But, you know, here we go. I just clicked on this other one that it goes off to, and it's talking about how challenging understanding of how neutron stars evolve. Yeah, because nothing evolves properly with the models that we have. Pretty much everything we have about how neutron stars evolved is just kind of like, And this guy was discovered relatively recently. Yeah, 2004. Super, super fast spinning pulsar. I think this one is at least old enough that you would consider it to be a millisecond pulsar with the spin up method, but I don't remember. Okay, closing these. The Grey Dawn, yeah, I loved my Pokemon too when I first played, and now I literally only remember the name of one of them. And the same thing with Pokemon Go. I have one Pokemon from Pokemon Go that I was really, really attached to. But I haven't loaded Pokemon Go in years now. Corey, yeah. Yeah, that would be a good name. I don't think I can get it published because that's just going to be the answer that every astronomer gives you, but it is a fun, it would make a good YouTube video title though. And it's like, yeah, probably, but they're not going to hang out with us. Sorry, guys. Oh, I almost, another thing, it's not really true. As far as almost, I mean, I have thought about doing it a bazillion times and then constantly forget. I might do a video on the methane cycle of Titan. Titan is really, really interesting. Super fascinating moon. It's got a whole bunch of specially unique features to it. And interestingly, when the sun expands into a red giant in about 5 billion years, Titan will be within the habitable zone. And it's shielded by shielded by Saturn's magnetic field, which means that it's able to maintain an atmosphere. And these are all really, really important things for habitable planets. The problem is it has a methane cycle instead of a water cycle. So, Brian, let me read that. Finish driving. Oh my god, I know, right? Oh, god. Here, I will teach you guys something cool if you don't already know about it. Some of you might. Arxiv. Super, super cool repository of papers, but only for specific fields. So, physics, mathematics, computer science, qualitative biology, quantitative finance, statistics. I can't pronounce any of these words anymore. Electrical engineering and systems science and economics. So, these are not peer-reviewed by Arxiv, but they should have notes on them if something is published. So let me just, yeah, let's look at this one. I almost studied magnetohydrodynamics, and then I decided no, I hate that. It's not true. I'm just not good at electrical or electromagnetism very much. So, come on, can we load? I've never seen Arxiv so slow before. Anyway, you have a repository of papers, you have the subjects, you have submission histories, bibliographic tools. It typically will show if it's been published somewhere. You might have to go into the paper itself, and not all of these papers are published. A lot of them are published in peer-reviewed. But it's a nice free repository for these types of papers. So if you're really interested in those sorts of things, then it's well worth checking out. You can get lost here reading cool stuff. So like I said, also they have computer science and biology and statistics and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's all the weird fields. But if you want physics especially, all these papers are available and free. Oh my god, I know, right, Ryan? It is disgusting. I'm so glad I'm not teaching anymore. Ugh. I have friends who are teachers down here in high school who are physicists, and they cannot handle life. Not only do they get hired to do 4 different people's job because school doesn't bother to hire somebody for physics, someone for math, and someone for engineering. They just hire one physicist to do all of them, plus other stuff too. But yeah, everyone hates science here, so that's a bit of a problem. Heaven forbid you taught climate science or something. Disgusting. And heaven forbid you have a open and welcoming classroom. I would have gotten fired so fast. I was teaching in North Dakota last time, and they were much more relaxed. That was a few years ago, of course. And then I graduated and came back to Florida. And I'm glad I did not go for a teaching position because I would have been fired immediately. And there'd been a lot of trouble. Yeah. LK99, Floopy. I don't know actually what that is. Oh. Okay. Yeah, this is why I don't know what it is, because I fucking hate superconductivity. It's not true. I actually like superconductivity, but I'm not a condensed matter physicist. So I tend to avoid these as much as possible. So superconducting, crystal compound, studying material. No replications have gone through peer review. Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like they had a material that was impure. Superconductivity is super delicate, and it's really, really interesting, but it's really affected by any tiny little bit of contamination in the materials. So if you had a slightly improperly sealed, because I have seen in a physics lab how people are sealing their vacuum tubes in order to test their new material layers, and this is the least scientific way of doing it. If you've ever done like a chemistry lab, And they tell you to use the regular pipettes, that you have to like, it doesn't have the bulb on the top. You have to just kind of like put your thumb on it and try to like get the right amount. And you're like, this seems really, really imprecise, especially for doing something like analytical chemistry. Same idea here. This is an extremely imprecise method of doing things. I'm not saying that they did it this way. I'm just saying that I've seen it done this way for very important experiments, and I would not be surprised if something was contaminated. But this sort of thing should be easy to replicate. Superconductivity does not behave differently for the same compound. So if you have a particular compound and you've released what that compound is, other people should be able to replicate it with no issue. So the fact that it's unreplicatable, or at least that's what I'm seeing from this brief skim, is that it had a contamination. Or their machine was broken. Either one of them. I have to actually read. I'll have to actually read the paper. I will have to look into it further. Because this should be easily verifiable. Okay, these are the things I was looking for. I was like, where are our graphs? Oh gosh, okay. Those are the current graphs. Where are the temperature? Are they using constant temperature? Room temperature. Okay. Yeah, very weird. And again, I have not studied superconductivity since I was an undergrad, so some of this stuff. What units are we're using? Very weird units. I don't actually know these. Looking at okay, now I know. I know these. These are good. Weird. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Floopy. Yeah, that's what I would guess. I read that terrible Bigfoot paper and it was obviously bad. So I assume that probably the same case here. I'll have to read it later though, because now I'm really curious. But man, they really stuck with it if it's a hoax though. I mean, 20 years of the same. But then again, Billy Mitchell's still out there. He's still out there keeping his hoax alive. So consensus is a superconductor, not a superconductor, any temperature insulator in pure form. I know, Brian, that Bigfoot paper was just the gift that kept on giving. I was not expecting so much hilarity. I need to try to track down the appendix for it. I hope it's somewhere. Ooh, I want to see the purple crystal. It says appearance is purple crystal when pure. Ooh, okay. Interesting. This is a much more charitable. No, fuck off. No, reject. I don't want any of those. All right. You know what, nature? You can just get fucked. Anyway, I was gonna read that, but paper about the organic compounds in Venus's atmosphere revealed through spectroscopy that ended up being incorrect. That wasn't a hoax. That was just a mistake. But it was really interesting watching how people kind of came together to try to prove or disprove it. And that's one of those really important things to do, especially, in any science, but in astro, we have it a lot where we have something that we're studying that is so obscure that there's just literally no other information on it. And so it's really important for people to go back and restudy things. Oh yeah, Brian. Yeah, pretty much. It's like, guys, we live in Florida. We have the best excuse ever, which is that you can't think straight in Florida because it's hot and it's humid and you're trying to not die from drivers even when you're not driving yourself. Like, these are all great excuses that you could just blame for making mistakes. Like, we've got great built-in excuses, and yet people just refuse. Unfortunately. There are so many things that can be said about the need to double down on things instead of just going, nah, we were wrong, and how people believe that because that happens in science, where scientists go, nah, we were wrong, that somehow means that science is wrong and it's unreliable, and it's like, no, that's the opposite. The whole point is that it changes when we find out more correct information. That's what it's supposed to do. Anyway, I won't go off on that rant any more than I already did. But okay. Yeah, the Venus thing was cool. There was a crazy Mars paper that I read once with some guy with like, he was claimed that there were like mushrooms on Mars. Mars mushrooms. I wanted to search Mars mushroom guy, but that was probably not appropriate. Okay, let's try this one. I'm just choosing random things. These are not necessarily good scientific sources, guys. Just, well, we're going straight out there. Don't always click the first thing on YouTube. I'm sure you guys know that, but I feel like I should say it as a scientist. Yeah, so there was this paper about fungi, and it was really dumb. It was really bad, and it was really funny. And I read the paper, and it's great, and it's got pictures, and it makes no sense. Yeah, okay. Got it. Did I miss the title? This is part of the reason I hate reading scientific not scientific articles, pop culture articles on science, because it is so hard to just find stuff. And yes, I could easily also just be skimming over it, but there's like 40 pictures and videos playing at the same time. I love it when scientists get salty like this. I don't know who reviewed this paper, but I would take away their license as a biologist. That's awesome. Are we gonna... Okay, you know what? I'll just search this guy. Oh, is this guy debunking? Because he's told that the paper was conjecture. I don't know. Get some data before you publish conclusions. I love it. Oh, Mars through a nuclear war? Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot talk. I'm just going to stop apologizing for it. It's over. No, I have not seen that paper. That sounds wild. Yeah, Brian, definitely. There's definitely a culture around that, and it's really annoying. And I think that it relates to the culture of making things you believe part of your personality. This happens with politics a lot, but it can also happen with scientific beliefs or conspiracy beliefs or anything else like that. It just becomes part of your personality. And so an attack on it is an attack on the personality, as opposed to you just going, oh, well, I guess I'll just change that. Never mind. Like, I would love to do a video on spooky science that isn't misinformation. Any of you watch display name on YouTube? His name's Milo. He debunks archaeology, conspiracy stuff, and it is so freaking funny. He is so good. He's so good at teaching, and he's very funny. Apparently I would not be surprised. Archaeology is a wild, wild field. And I say that with great affection. I almost did archaeology, and I have done an archaeological dig for a short time that I had the chance to do as a summer course. And it's really interesting. But these people get their brains baked in the sun, just like us in Florida. And if you're in Florida doing archaeology, it's even worse. Yes, exactly, Floopy. He's awesome. So good. I would love to do some science debunking stuff like that. She's a biologist, and she does really, really funny videos. And she's always kind of like speaking aggressively at the screen. She's so funny. Oh, God. I've forgotten. And I'm going to have to open up on another browser so you guys don't see my YouTube homepage because it's going to be a mess. Let me see over here. Because I want to actually shout her out because I don't want to be that guy who's just like, ooh, somebody. She's so funny and so interesting. I just cannot remember her screen name ever. Because it's just her name, I think, and I'm really, really bad at names. Sorry, I'm scrolling through these real quick. Lindsay Nicole. Yeah. She is very, very funny. And she does biology videos. They're awesome. She's not really usually debunking like, conspiracies or anything like that, but here. I don't know why that created its own thing, but yeah. Very, very good. I found her from Milo. He shouted her out at some point, I think, or they did an episode together or something. Oh, congrats, Mad Waffle! Yay! That didn't take you very long. We only started the stream at 8, so good job. Okay. But I've thought about doing shorts and like just, is this scientific headline correct? Like for just like a pop science headline. Because my friend is constantly sending them to me and she's like, is this actually what they're talking about? And it's like 95% of the time, no. Whatever their headline is just complete nonsense. They've either misinterpreted an article or sensationalized it or whatever. But doing that would require me to actually record and edit shorts, and that's a tall order for me at the moment. But maybe in the future. But I would definitely consider doing a video on spooky science that isn't just misinformation. That's kind of what the first Mysterious Depths was, because it had the debunking of. I say debunking like I did anything of this. I did not. The people had already done that research, so it's not like I did a whole lot of effort here. But The Well to Hell and whatever the hell the other one, Mel's Hole. Oh yeah, Trey the Explainer is good. I've seen some of their stuff. Debunking videos are fun. There was a paleontology iceberg that I'm considering covering. It was like controversial paleontology or something like that. Let me see if I can find it. I found it on Reddit, so that's always, always a risk there. God, I hate Reddit. I hate it so much. It's so stupid. Sorry, the brain worms on Reddit are so bad. There are so many times where I'm like reading something and I'm like, how did you get this impression? And it's not even like, science or whatever articles. It's just literally like people playing through Until Dawn and then not understanding the plot. And I'm like, how did you finish this game? I'm so confused. Okay, I don't know where it is, but I have it bookmarked somewhere. It was a weird paleontology or controversial paleontology iceberg or something like that. And I thought that would be really fun to cover because I really do like paleontology a lot. It was what I originally wanted to do when I was a wee child. I almost switched to anthropology as my major, and then I realized most of anthropology nowadays is not interesting to me. Stop playing videos. Oh my god. I was watching a mysteries podcast, and they were talking about, they got off in discussion about The Ring, and they were talking about how, those curses spread through video files and how there needs to be a modern horror story of the, video spreading, or curses spreading through videos, but they start spreading through the YouTube autoplay and news channels where you can't make it stop and you didn't even get a choice. It's like, that is the real horror. Oh my gosh. Really? I didn't know this part. Brainmind.com. That's awesome. Okay, I've actually read, I think, this debunking. Can we please? I know that it was retracted, but I still want to read the original one. No, fuck off, CNET. Why would I ever do this? Anyway, yeah. There's just a bunch of made up crap about how there's like fungus on Mars. It's awesome. Bad science papers are really fun. Fringe paleontology iceberg. That might have been it. Yes. Or it may not have been, because I don't think there was a YouTube series on that one. There are multiple paleontology icebergs for weird crap, like conspiracies and fringe stuff. So I think I do know which one you're talking about. I think I know which one you're talking about, but it's a different one that I saw. I try not to do them that have already been done, though I may anyway, because I want to talk about stuff. But we'll see. Speaking of icebergs, I think it was Sacrow who is doing the creepypasta iceberg. It was really cool, but I was watching it at like 2 a.m. and it was a problem. Yes, Mars thermonuclear war. I will look for it. Yes, I saw an experiment somebody did, I can't remember who, on YouTube, was doing an experiment with the algorithms to try to find how fast they would end up on like the Andrew Tate side of things. I want to say it was like Danny Gonzalez or somebody, one of the three, like him or Curtis or Drew, but it might have been somebody completely different. Somebody was experimenting. I watched so many people. Somebody was experimenting about getting a brand new TikTok and seeing how long it would take to end up on Andrew Tate, and it was pretty scary how fast it happened. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling up in the chat real quick so that I can Mars thermonuclear war. Okay, let's see what I can find. Excellent, thank you, autofill. Oh God, as soon as somebody says the R process, that's oh boy. Nobody saw that I accidentally closed that. I assume this is the paper that you're talking about, Floopy. Why are we presenting the information this way? We don't really think this is how this works. The R process is it's a process that happens in supernova. Again, that's something I'm not extremely familiar with, but I think it's also because it's something that is not extremely well understood. It basically causes the production of the higher elements. Basically, in a star, you basically produce up to nickel throughout the whatever the fuck it's called. Oh my god, the periodic table. You produce up through nickel because that gives information, or that gives energy back to the star through fusion. But once you reach nickel, you stop getting energy back due to the binding energies and all of that. And that's what destabilizes the core of a star until it collapses. And when you have the collapse and the outer layers bounce off of the neutron star that's forming in the core, you get the supernova, where it just blows that material out into space. But it's extremely high pressure, extremely high temperature, and extremely high energy, and that creates a way for higher level elements to fuse. Things like gold, for instance, come out of supernova, if I remember correctly. And there's also a P process and an RP process. I'm just gonna look them up instead of trying to remember that. I barely studied this part because I didn't need it. I needed it for something. Nucleosynthesis. Okay. Rapid neutron capture process. Creation of heavy elements. There's also the S process. I'm pretty sure there's an RP process as well. Synthesize the four heavies for rapid neutron captures. Okay, so basically this is just a way that you create higher level elements. Yeah, the history of the periodic table is wild. The periodic table itself is fascinating. Chemistry is fascinating. Nucleosynthesis is fascinating. I think that the names just come from um, whatever they've been deemed. So I think this R process is from rapid neutron. I don't know what P process is for proton. Okay, yeah, so that's how they get the names. The RP process would be rapid proton, probably. Um, Basically, you're capturing these different particles in order to form up to different elements. So, the R process happens in supernova, but an R process like series of captures can occur to a minor extent in the thermonuclear weapon. Okay, so that's where they're getting this from. But I mean, like we were thinking, that's not really how it works. We don't we don't really do that. So very, very strange. We would typically assume Mars is missing its atmosphere. I mean, it has an atmosphere, but it's a very weak atmosphere. But it's believed that the Mars lost its atmosphere due to solar wind stripping, which is mentioned here, solar wind erosion. But this happens because of a lack of magnetic field, whereas we have, or a very weak magnetic field. Magnetic fields protect the planet's atmosphere against the solar wind. So that's why on Earth you see the aurora when the solar wind is striking our magnetic field, and you can see it light up. It's literally like having, a force field in like Star Wars or something, and you see like the blaster strikes hit off of it, and it lights up the protective shield. That's basically what's happening with our magnetic field. It's very cool, and when you have a planet or moon or something like that that does not have a strong magnetic field of its own, they can't protect their atmosphere, and it gets ripped off by the sun or whatever star is nearby or planet is nearby. And that's what I mentioned with Titan being within Saturn's magnetic field. It shields it enough that it's able to maintain its atmosphere, which is really cool. But Mars has a very weak atmosphere that's maintained by its weak magnetic field and its gravity. But we believe that Mars was geologically active in the past, and that was the thing that produced its magnetic field. So magnetic fields can be produced by planets in several different ways. The Earth is extremely geologically active, and that's why we have such a strong magnetic field. Venus is also geologically active, but it's in a very weird way. It's just one giant tectonic plate, which is absolutely wild, as opposed to the tectonic motion that we have on Earth. I don't know an extreme amount about Venus's magnetic field system, but it's strange, and magnetic fields are super, super important. Basically, is the TLDR here. But they're produced in multiple different ways, and the belief is that Mars used to be geologically active, which allowed it to hold a large magnetic field and therefore a decent-sized atmosphere. But it lost it at some point due to becoming non-geologically active, whether because it was struck by something. I think that's one of the theories right now, is that it was struck by some other sort of object, and it basically just disrupted it. But there are other theories as well, and any one of those is the main believed idea, is that some sort of catastrophic incident caused Mars to lose its magnetic field and therefore lose its atmosphere. Basically, TLDR, it would not require thermonuclear explosions. Also, I am interested in how much radioactive material, like, these are really abstract, because there's no comparison. Is this okay? Do we have full papers? Okay. I'm obviously not going to be reading this very closely. I'm just going to be skimming. So anyone who knows this paper tells me to look back at something, I will look. So weird. This is very weird way to posit this. Present uncertainties in the locations and conditions of the R process possibly observed in events in the larger cosmos. We're pretty sure we know where the R process takes place. Okay, whatever. Cosmic rays, okay, whatever. They were talking about how there were higher isotopes, higher radioactive isotopes on Mars. But there are lots of reasons why you might end up with higher radioactivity. This is so... What a weird... what a weird comparison. So, anyone who watched my video on 2019 OK might be like, okay, yeah, we already know what causes the Tunguska-like explosions. It's a bolide. Like, we know because we had another one happen. Why wouldn't it just be a radioactive bolide that exploded? Why would it need to be a thermonuclear explosion? Fission rich, our process events, okay, blah, blah, blah. Why are we doing... This is so weird. Tunguska, like, why didn't we just have that Mars got bombarded by asteroids? That would, that actually matches just fine with one of the theories. Sorry, let me look at the chat. I've been totally distracted. Oh yeah. Taking tests on anything sucks. I was really bad at remembering things for chemistry and periodic table, and I'm really bad at remembering stuff for physics too, if I have to remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, the whole concept behind the periodic table, but less the periodic table for me and more just elements and how elements are formed, really, really interesting. So if you're ever curious about elemental formation, you can look up stellar nucleosynthesis and you'll get some really interesting information. I seem to remember that the Wikipedia page was pretty good for stellar nucleosynthesis. Yeah, it looks like it'll walk you all the way through. Really, really interesting. And there's also some really interesting problems with early production, early Big Bang nucleosynthesis, because we have just this kind of a strange assortment of things, and obviously we don't have the right amount of antimatter, blah, blah, blah. We have asymmetry in the background, cosmic microwave background, which indicates that something was not homogeneous early on, and we ended up with basically 3 elements right away. But lithium is produced in kind of a weird pattern. There's something called the proton-proton chain that you do in stellar nucleosynthesis, and it creates this cool, like, it like creates things and then it takes them apart and then it creates them and then it takes them apart. You can see here, just you get like tritium, I think, at some point, and deuterium at some point, and it's wild. I think it's really, really interesting. I really liked stellar nucleosynthesis. And then once you end up finishing stellar nucleosynthesis, sorry, I think I opened it. Yeah, I only opened the proton-proton chain. Oh, there's the triple alpha and the CNO cycle, and there's the S and P processes, photodisintegration. Photodisintegration is wild. That happens in a core collapse. And it's really interesting. It talks about all of the different things that will fuse. There's the math. Nobody wants that. That's disgusting. So yeah, you end up with beryllium-8. Like, okay, I'll stop with the nucleosynthesis, but super interesting stuff. It made elements way more interesting to me. Okay, back to this thing. Again, why are we comparing to meteor strikes? This is a meteor strike. I'm so confused by the entire point of this hypothesis. Right, we know. Okay. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yes, okay. So the cratering thing here is interesting because you can try to date how old things are by cratering, but only if they are non-geologically active or very, very minimally geologically active. And by that I mean more like tectonically active. So the Earth recycles its crust, so there's a limit on our crater strikes, how you can gauge how old things are and how old the Earth is, because the Earth recycles its crust. But the Moon does not, for instance. Mars does not, but it is still, I think, minorly geologically active. I'm not entirely sure how much it's considered to be altered. Okay, I want to see this glaring excess. Okay. Mars versus Earth xenon. That's fantastic, but did we compare it to a different planet? Why have we compared only to Earth anywhere? Do we have a comparison? Okay. Primordial Mars atmosphere and older meteor. This does not sound good. Okay, I don't know anything about the atmospheric trapping in meteorites. This seems not super reliable. It sounds like there's this very cherry-picked data. I want to know what the comparison is with xenon isotope mass to... Sorry, I'm trying to read this graph. All right, we've got number density, we've got isotope mass, and we've normalized this. I don't know what they're doing with this data. It's isotope mass, okay. Number density. Okay, so it's just really, really high of 129. Okay, got it. But what? I want to see a comparison with a different planet. I mean, I guess that it's going to be really hard to compare with other planets, but where are we getting this much xenon, actually, now that I'm thinking about it? All right, is this from spectroscopy? Is this from analysis of samples? I didn't see. Only available Mars samples. The MMs. I don't know anything about them. This is gonna give me candy. Yeah. I assume that stands for Mars meteorites. At any rate, this sounds like nonsense. So I'll probably read the rest of the paper later, because I am curious about this. But, yeah. Okay, so this is talking about this being related to the R process. Presence of hyperabundance is attributed to the R process. And S process, signature of R process, okay. Oh, okay. I see. Alright, this is dumb. I would need to look at it more closely in order to be like, really be like, this is dumb, especially because this is not an area I studied in any depth, but looks dumb. That's my scientific analysis. Okay, we get distracted by space again, but that's all. It's all right. I'm gonna put that really fancy degree to some use, I guess. Let's see if I can find one of the broadcast signal. Broadcast signal intrusions. Wikipedia, look back at like scary broadcast hijackings or something like that. Chances are you're going to find somebody with the Wyoming incident on the list, which is very funny. Oh, have you guys ever seen the zombie alert on Steve Wilkos? This is this is the fakest alert. It is so freaking funny. The way that the guy does it is so good. I actually haven't seen all of these before. This must be like a new. Huh. This must be a decently new or.
A TV station out in Montana got hacked, and right in the middle of the Steve Wilco show, on comes this.
Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the messages on screen that will be updated.
I don't know if you guys can even hear this, actually. Now that I think about it, I don't think I have audio turned on. Let me add audio input from... I should be able to... sorry, audio output. Fuck. Add audio output capture. Thank you. I typically have audio output. And let's try the speakers. Yeah, I thought you might be able to hear it a little bit. That's just because the Yeti picks it up. Let's see if this works. No, it doesn't. Anyway, this is really dumb. All you have to do is search for Steve Wilkos zombie hijacking, but the guy's basically just like, the bodies of the dead are rising to feast on the living. And it's like so obviously fake, but it's really funny, and apparently it scared a whole lot of people. This was not even, they say it's a computerized voice. It really wasn't. It was just some guy with like, 10 kbps connection trying to, it was so funny. Apparently it actually legitimately scared people though. I keep hearing about the pornographic Super Bowl, but I never actually watched that. I watched the Super Bowl. When was it? 2009? Oh, it's viewers in Arizona. Broadcasting was Captain Midnight. I never heard of this one. Oh, England. That's pretty funny. Oh, that's spooky. I love that. Hijacking for something that was already scary. Air disasters. That's awesome. I love it. Oh yeah, this is this Wyoming incident? I can't remember. I think this is the Wyoming incident one. Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing things up. Anyway, lots of weird stuff. Faces on the screen. I don't remember seeing that one. I've seen this one, the Intergalactic Association. That one's fun. Max Headroom, of course. This is the Steve Wilkos one again. Oh, there's the Wyoming incident. See, it does show up on it does show up on these types of lists. I actually don't I don't know that much about it. I should probably look into it. Yeah, they say no explanation has ever been surfaced. No, it was the Wyoming incident, and it was just a bad ARG. I don't know anything about this. I would be skeptical because of how quality this list apparently is. Obviously, I'm not getting any real research done here, but that's okay. I'll probably wrap up soonish, just because it's getting late and because I've talked for an hour and a half. My voice isn't used to that anymore. All right, I want to see, though, whether this is a real broadcast hijacking or not. I've never seen it before. Considering that the first decent link looks like it's Reddit, I'm gonna guess. Come on, guys. I am skeptical. My main problem is that I worry that I can't really cover these with anything new, and a lot of these have been over covered so many times. It's just like I don't want to like have, you know, I don't want to just go over the same thing everyone else has already talked about. That's part of the reason I haven't covered like Celine Delgado, even though the picture and the story creeps me out. See you, Brian. Thanks for being here. Floopy, yes, I have heard about number stations. They are super interesting. And the part of me that like loved Lost as a kid, and other stuff, number stations and other stuff, really likes number stations. The problem is that they've just been covered so many times, and again, I worry that I won't be able to really add anything new to the subject. But I do think that they're super, super interesting. Hello, Karen. Did I see you before? I don't know if I did. If I did, I'm very tired and I've forgotten. But otherwise, hello. So I want to cover things that I can probably bring something new to that hasn't been covered a ton. Whether that's the scientific side of it or whether it's just it's new research entirely, which is part of the reason I had been having fun with the urban legends. There are a few urban legends, local ones, that I have been looking into over time and trying to track down the origin of. I also want to do a series that I keep forgetting about on witch graves. So there are lots and lots of graves that are purportedly the graves of witches, and a lot of them, it's not known whether they have a grave at all. First off. Second off, who's buried in the grave? And then third off, if that person was a witch or not. So there are some really interesting ones. I have an entirely finished script actually on one of them. The problem is that I haven't posted it because I have a very scathing conclusion, and I don't know if I want to go that hard. I also would like to try to contact the graveyard that the supposed witch grave is in and ask them some questions, but social anxiety. I have to try to find an email, so I don't have to actually call them. I have a feeling this is a complete hoax that was made up by somebody to sell books, basically, is my conclusion that I got from doing research. But I don't necessarily want to say that because that's going to make people angry. Oh, of course. Well, thank you for being here, Karen. You haven't missed anything. We've just kind of been rambling about space for the vast majority of it, and a little bit reading fun, bad articles people have suggested. So that's awesome. Yeah. Another one that I looked into, another witch grave, was some lady who was like tried for witchcraft like 3 times, which is wild. But in reality, it seems like she was probably just a widower who was kind of a jerk, or a widow who was kind of a jerk. And so, of course, people started up witchcraft accusations because that's how it goes. But I found and got a hold of old papers of hers from a historical society, and I haven't been able to read them because they're written in really weird handwriting, and it's an old-timey speak, and I've been struggling to read them, especially since you're not supposed to replicate them. That was part of the agreement for ordering copies of them. And so I can't just post them to Reddit and be like, hey guys, can people help me read this? So I'm going to torment my dad into helping me, because he studied Middle English literature, and I'm hoping that I can bully him into reading That's the reason I haven't done that one yet. But Witchgrave's interesting topic. I really need to do the other Urban Legends iceberg too. It's so long. The process takes so long. It took me literally a week of like full-time days of research, and then I think it took something like 20 solid hours of editing just for the initial audio, or initial, not the audio pass. The audio pass only took like 6 hours, but the initial placement. And that was, and then like when you do the effects and like all of the fade ins and all of that, it takes so long. It's so long. Oh my God. So I just haven't wanted to tackle that yet. Yeah, it was, it's a struggle, especially because I want to make sure that I get multiple sources on a particular subject. So that's what ends up taking the longest. If I just like read Wikipedia and like parroted the information, it would be much faster for the research process. But I want to find as many primary sources as possible, which can be a bit of a struggle, and then I want to try to see if they are copying each other. So that's one of the biggest red flags for the urban legends stuff. And for the Witchgrave story that I was telling you guys about, actually, one of the reasons I think it's copied is that literally all but like one account, which is somebody who went there in person, tells the story exactly the same way. They use the same words. Some of them are straight up copied and pasted. Other ones are retellings that are obviously the same information, where they read it on a website and they're regurgitating it. And that's how you can tell that this is not an organic legend. Same thing with normal urban legends. If you find a bunch of places with the exact same wording, chances are they have the exact same source, and they're not organic legends. Sometimes this is because they got everything literally from the same source, but that source was a primary source. So like one of the urban legends on the last iceberg, the Raven Mocker, every website that you find is going to basically say the same exact thing with the same exact description. It's because they're all referencing one book that supposedly had interviews with Native American people who had heard the story. And so this one primary source is what was then used and circulated online. So that made sense. But, you know, that's one of those things that I try to check for, and that's why it takes so freaking long, because each particular legend has to be checked. I have to find at least 3 or 4 separate discussions of it that I'm confident aren't just straight up copied from each other before I'm willing to put information on there. So it takes a really, really long time, but it is very satisfying to kind of dig up stuff like that, though, come to different conclusions and figure out when something is obviously fake or when something is obviously a real story that people have discussed. One of the local urban legends that I know of from where I grew up, not in Florida, I grew up in southern Indiana, so a lot of spooky legends from there, but one of them has like a main version that's circulated on like ghost websites that I had heard, of course, in person, and that my mom had heard growing up there as well, and actually investigated as a teenager and nearly got hit by a train. And don't investigate train ghosts, people, okay? Trains are dangerous. But local that people tell stories about that don't make it onto the big ghost websites. And I wonder how many different urban legends there are from around the world and that have that same thing, where one version of it makes it online, but there are like local variations that are just as like prevalent. For instance, the one that I had heard from my local area that makes it around online was the third version of the legend, and it was not the one I heard the most common, but that's apparently the most commonly known one outside of the area, which I think is really interesting. But that's also the one that was based in fact, so there actually is a factual basis for that story, and I do want to make a video on that one too. Again, that was one of those ones where I needed more information, otherwise it's going to be a very unsatisfying ending, but I have to contact people. I have to figure out how you find legal records from like the 1800s, which means I probably have to contact the county that it took place in and see whether they still have those types of records. I think they probably do. Theoretically, they should, but I haven't wanted to do it. It's a lot of work. But I don't want to put out a video where I could have found a conclusion and then didn't bother. That's not what I'm here for. So, yeah, that's something. I'm very tired. This is kind of funny. People having Donald Duck voice doing hijacking. That's pretty good. Yeah, so this is creepy. Look at this guy. just some creepy weirdos. I would say from the 90s, but it looks like it's 2007 actually, so even genuine, confirmed as a result of earlier. Okay. Ah, okay. Interesting. That's the second time Oprah has showed up on one of these lists. But I think it's very different than the one on this. Like, speaking of, that one did not show up at all. The Kaluga broadcast. I can't find any verification. But like I said, that list had the Wyoming incident on it, so we know how good that one is. I haven't really seen people cover this one. Maybe I'll look into it more clearly. Oh man, that's not going to be very fun. Okay, it was looked into. Subsequent installation videotape. That's not fun. I don't want to talk about that. That's not cool. Nope. No bores. I don't want any of that. I want internet spooky, not real life spooky. Okay. Well, there's that. I feel like I had something else I was going to search for, but let's see. Ah, it's Zelda. I should have known. Unmapped caves. How about? All right. I mean, there is a really cool unmapped cave in southern Indiana that I want to do a full huge deep dive on. It's really, really interesting, but I need to make graphics for it. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not that great at it. I can make graphics, I just have to bother, and it's a lot of effort. I also was trying to get a better quality, actually no, I have decent quality. I was trying to get permission to use maps made by a explorer. His were the most up-to-date maps. They were like from 2011 or something like that. I didn't want to just use them without permission, but they would count under fair use as long as I didn't use them in super zoomed in close up. But there's an unmapped cave basically in southern Indiana called Lost River, and when you're down in that area, Lost River is named that because it's a river that only fills up when you've had a lot of rain. And the reason why that happens is because Lost River is actually a cave system, and the cave has to fill up before the river will fill up. So it's a massive cave system, and it's been explored a little bit, but because it floods and because it's so deep, it hasn't been safely explored. Its entrances are like 160 feet straight down, and they're water filled. There is a dry entrance that is inside of a sinkhole, which is really interesting. And there are multiple sinkholes around the area that have had dye tests run, where people put in dye into one sinkhole and try to find the dye in other sinkholes. So you can see how the water table is connected and mapped. And they're revealing that that entire plane is very, very strange. There's two entirely separate segments of it. And anyway, Lost River, super complex cave system, may actually be one of the longest cave systems in the world because of the amount of branching that it has, but they haven't verified it yet. So thanks for being here, Mad Waffle. I'm probably gonna be done here pretty soon, so thanks for being here. See you later. Anyone who has not been to Mammoth Cave, if you're in the area, you should go. It's really, really cool. Beautiful place. I wanted to see. This is longest caves. Some of these are still being discovered. Yes. I want to know which ones are still being searched. It's too hard to figure out. Stop. Go away, Guardian. Oh, how pretty. Oh, cool. Cave diving is scary. Wow, it's beautiful though. Oh man, look at these pictures. Oh, that's so cool. This is way prettier, way prettier than Devil's Hole. This is really, really pretty. Oh, now we're gonna get into the small, silty ones. This is really, really cool though. I'll have to look later and see whether this is mapped at all. Very neat. I remember watching a video about people who were clearing a cave. It had been an underground cave. Its passage had been blocked by rocks, so they actually began to clear it so they could explore, which is pretty cool. But cave diving is scary. They do cave diving training a few hours from here, where I live, at Ginny Springs, which is a really cool area. They also do cavern diving certifications, but I don't even have my scuba yet. There's no way I could do cavern diving, and I promised I would not do cave diving to literally everyone who I've known, so no cave diving for me, which is fine because I don't really want to cave dive. Cavern diving is about as far as I would be interested, and even then, I don't know, because I've never learned to scuba, so. Okay, let's see here. Probably gonna go for another 10 minutes or so. Let's see if we can find some other interesting unmapped cave. Okay, Sistema Huala. Okay, I think I saw that on this list. Nope. Different ones. Okay. So there are, of course, many, many cave systems that have not been explored. The problem is that some of them are not that interesting. Oh God, ChatGPT, fuck off. I didn't want you. I made a mistake. The problem is a lot of them are just not that interesting. I mean, they're kind of interesting, but talk to me about. Oh, cool. Interesting. I mean, obviously, I know that there's tons and tons of caves in Tennessee and in Kentucky and Indiana and Alabama. The whole area is oh yeah, Devin, Ted the Caver, I presume. That one is so good and it still holds up. Ted the Caver obviously has been covered to death, so I didn't want to cover it at any point. But I have considered doing a retrospective on Dianea House, which was less popular at the time. I also wrote a caving creepypasta. I don't have a copy of it anymore, but people were really nice about it actually, which is always funny when you post to. I mean, not like X was a terribly wild board of 4chan, but you know, when you post to 4chan and get positive response on something you wrote, that's always a pretty nice situation. But they were very nice. They just were like, the ending's kind of boring, and I was like, you know, you're right. And I think I fixed it at one point, but I never posted it again, and I don't know if I ever kept a copy of it. But caving, great. Great thing for horror, and not even with monsters. Okay, this was what I was actually going to look at, and then of course clicking, because it's Quora, like you click on there and then there's absolutely nothing that you actually were looking for. Oh god, it's in Spanish. Yes, please, I'm a shitty American who doesn't speak Spanish. Okay. Oh, this is pretty. Okay, the deepest point. Explore the sink system. Okay. Cave diving. Oh, okay, cool. An annual expedition to try to find a linking system. Cool. I guess they did a dye test, I would assume? Because they're saying that they know that it enters this system and exits the other one. Yes, dyes. Okay, cool. Oh, that's neat. Okay, might have to look into this one a little bit more. I love looking at maps. Oh, here's the English one. I love looking at maps, dye maps. Dye test maps are really cool. Look at this cave. It's beautiful. Wow. Wow, look at that. That's amazing. Caves are gorgeous. How cool. Okay. So I found a lake. I want a map. Does one exist? Aha, one does exist. Multiple exist. So cave maps are pretty, wow, look at this cave. How have I never heard of this cave before? It's gorgeous. So I love looking at cave maps. Okay, so this is the cave that they are hoping links with it. And then this is the other one. Huatla and Peño Colorado. Hypothesized fossil flow, overflow resurgence. Okay. I only know a little bit about fossil overflow. I think that that's where they figure out that they're connected due to fossilization or due to calcification. But I'm not completely sure. I think I remember reading about it during the Devil's Hole research. This is so cool, though. It would make sense that they were connected. However, they could easily not be connected as well. They are on the same plane, it looks like, which is fascinating. But because it's flooded like that, you have to do cave diving, so obviously it's really limited. And we can't use radio-controlled ROVs. Oh my god, I'm so old. We can't use ROVs very much in caves because the signals aren't good enough. There is a new ROV setup that I actually read about just a little while ago, like a few months ago, I think, that they're having really good success with getting the radio signal to go through rock. which is amazing, and it would really, really open up cave exploration if you could have something like an ROV that would safely be able to travel and still send signal back. Ooh. So, here's some of these crazy maps. You have, of course, 3D maps, and you have side maps, and you have top-down maps. I wish I might have some stuff saved that I could show you from Lost River. I feel like I did have stuff saved out. I mean, I have a picture. I guess I can show that. This is not actually part of Lost River. This is the Orangeville Rise, which is a tributary. But basically, if you look here, if you dove down, I think this one's 90 feet deep, and then it opens up into the cave system, basically. It's not really part of Lost River itself, but it flows into Lost River. And this is one of the creek beds that fills up. So, really cool. I thought I had some actual... I think I had one of the maps on here somewhere. If I can find it. Aha! I think it's here. These look like good things. Aha. So this is one of the maps of Lost River. This is the Wesley Chapel Gulf, which is the big sinkhole-like area that you can go down into, and then the cave, one of the cave entrances is here. And you can come in. But you can see all of the little spindly wigglies. There's all these different passages. And then everything gets to have colorful names, as they say, because people love to name things scary things. So we've got cheese grater, and we've got sucking vortex, and meat grinder. Like, that's awesome. So, okay, the True Rise is here. Orangeville Rise is up here. Right, okay, it issues water from a different cave system, and it puts it into Lost River. I think Orangeville Rise is connected to the Twin Caves system, something like that. Sadly, it does not look like I have the cross-section of True Rise, which is tragic because the cross-section of True Rise is really cool. It's like 100 and something feet, 130 feet straight down. Until you can enter the cave system. It's not as pretty as Orangeville Rise from what I've heard. I think it's a lot more limited, but Orangeville Rise is really, really beautiful. And yeah, I need to make this documentary because it's just really interesting, but I need to try to get in contact with people again. Vag Badger, I actually have not seen anything on Mystery Flesh Pit. I keep seeing mentions of it, like I saw Wendigoon's video title, but like I don't know anything about it. It's an ARG, right? I'm gonna look at it. Trevor Roberts, okay. It's a national park. Oh, that looks super interesting. Everything I saw about it seemed interesting. Like, I love the whole idea. I just haven't really deep dived into many ARGs in a long time. I really should look into this one, though, because I've been asked about it before. And I had to be the same way and be like, I don't know. I sort of... Oh, that's the same page. Why am I doing that? Like, I sort of am aware of it, but I don't really know. That looks really, really cool, though. It reminds me of the creepypasta that I considered considered covering as part of Mysterious Depths. It's like Temple of something or other. I can't remember what it's called. It's just like a supposedly, like, blood-filled pit. It's like endlessly deep or something. It was not very good, and it seems like a way better version of it. That looks really cool. I love the fishing comments, legendary trout fishing. I love horror fishing, horror fishing games. So that's just already piqued my interest. Horror fishing is like an amazing combination. This is really cool. I really need to actually look into this. Ooh, there's a cave map. Pleasure domes, that's terrible. God's mistake. That's awesome. This is really cool. I love projects like this. Oh, that reminds me, I completely forgot, but I registered a website literally like 2 days before all of the stuff went bad in real life, or like went worse in real life. And so I haven't done anything with it yet, but I need to. And I'm thinking about setting up like a tiny ARG. Not like anything crazy, just like something fun for people that watch this channel who check out my website. You can have something to do, follow a few clues and spooky vibes. I had a whole ARG planned at one point before I figured out what I wanted to do with my channel and all of that. So I've actually made a whole bunch of graphics and I have a video and everything. I just didn't make all of the rest of it, but I think I can repurpose it into something fun, like a tiny little fun thing. This is really cool. Alright, I'll have to look into this more, for sure. Oh, let me see. If anyone else has some suggestions of something to look at, I'll take a look, but I'm probably going to end up calling it a night here pretty soon. Yeah, Devin, that's actually a great like theme, and I probably should have thought of it because it's my own freaking screen name, but I'm kind of fucking dumb. No, it's even more scary. It's lottery commercials. Actually, it was a brief attempt at analog horror that I made at one point. I still have the videos somewhere. If I could figure out how to make audio play through it, I'd play part of the video that I made. I don't like part of it, so that would need to be fixed. But one portion of it I'm pretty pleased with. I'm looking for it, seeing if I have it somewhere. Oh, this is the creepypasta I was talking about. I had bookmarked it. It's nonsense. I did not mean for this to open in this window, though, so good to know. What have we got in here? Oh, I have like the 15 other the 15 other folders of backup data inside of other backup data. If I could actually organize my folders, my life would be a lot easier. Stop. I have a vertical mouse, and it is not always the easiest thing to control. I'll just say that. And oftentimes it just randomly clicks something. But it does help with the carpal tunnel, so that's pretty cool. Oh, come on, I know I have this somewhere. It might just be on my external drive, though, which is not plugged in. Alright. I can't find it, which means that y'all will see it when I remaster it and put it on my website eventually, along with actually useful stuff on my website. Someday. I keep trying to decide whether I'm going to actually code my website by hand or whether I'm just going to let the hosting thing do it. It's just like, I can code a website by hand, but at what cost? Why would I? I lived that era. Don't need to be a part of it anymore. It was not that cool. still angry about the time I learned how to make div scripts and then they removed div scripts from the browser that I was using. I was very, very cool for my very, very cool website for about a month and a half, and then just all fucked up. This is why we can't have nice things. Why do I have these things bookmarked or copied? What? I was looking in my folders trying to find this thing, and I had video stuff miscellaneous, and then I had a text file that said stupid video idea. Tier rank all the supermassive characters. I already did that. I did that stupid idea. So this must have been made way before. Hashtag truth. I'm not sure which part you're referring to, but I speak nothing but the truth clearly. So, oh, here it is. I found it. Let me see if I can find the part that I made that I actually like. Sort by date modified. Okay. That's gonna give me which part. Okay, well, it's not as cool without my audio, so that's why I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to make the audio come through. I actually made music for it and everything. I like went full out. Audio output capture. Let me just find a random YouTube video that I can test this with. You guys can be subject to my music tastes, which I use for audio testing a lot. Sorry, definitely. Okay, so it sounds like that works now. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, well, we'll need audio, obviously. Got this muted. Don't have the other things muted. I hate sound. There, I was very proud of my little analog horror test screen. So yeah, that's just the channel logo, yeah. Then I didn't do anything. I have a whole extra piece to it, but it sucks. So I'm not showing it. Actually, you can see my logo. I liked the logo that I made. Thought that was pretty cool. So yeah. Thank you. I tried really hard. It took me a long time, but I was really happy with how that came out. I need to make more music and things. I spent so much money buying an actual official licensed audio editor, and then I never use it, but I should. Alright, and now I know how to make this thing work, which is cool. Or how to make the audio output capture work. I'm going to turn it off so that I don't accidentally deafen you guys again. Sorry about that. Thank you, Devin. I was pretty happy with how it came out. Floopy, it was going to be... how much do I want to give away? Because I think I'm still going to use a little bit of this for the little mini ARG. But it was going to be how should I say this? It wasn't so much going to be spooky in itself, but it was going to be an indication that the broadcasts were coming from somewhere they shouldn't have been, I guess is a way to say it. The idea for this one was going to be that it was a lottery draw, but as you were reading out the numbers, the audio didn't match the actual numbers drawn, and the desync would be spooky. But there's no way to, the way to make it spooky is very delicate, otherwise it just comes off really hokey and crap. So that's why I don't really like the part that I have edited. I didn't hit the right balance. So also I didn't like my voice acting, so I have to fix it. And I'm probably going to change it up a little bit. I think I had a better idea of how I wanted to make it look like a real recording rather than, staged recording. Because, if something starts right at the beginning of a broadcast or it's all perfectly in focus, people are always like, why do you have your camera out for that? It's obviously staged. So things like that, I wanted to do some delicate attention to detail kind of thing. But that keeps getting pushed to the wayside. But as I get back into things, it'll be nice to have something, not just like the research and stuff, which is really fun. I like doing that. But it'll be nice to have like a creative output kind of thing. Plus, I may do NaNoWriMo this coming month, so that'll be fun too. Okay, let's see here. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here, just because it's a little after 10 and I still have some things I need to get done tonight, and I'm also losing my voice, which you can probably hear. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out, especially with the huge break that there was between any content, for terrible, horrible real-life reasons. But I'm hoping to get back into the real content swing as soon as I can wake my brain up enough. This was fun. I hadn't been able to really concentrate on doing any research this week, even though I had planned to spend this week actually working on things, do editing. But this kind of re-energized me a little bit into into doing stuff. So it was really nice to have this little stream, and I appreciate y'all showing up and chatting and all of that. So yeah, I'm hoping to see you guys a lot more, both with finished content and, intermittent live streams. Maybe it'll be a scheduled thing, but for now it's just gonna be pop-up stuff whenever I'm feeling it. Thank you, Devin. I'm glad you had fun, and yeah, I'm glad to be getting back into this sort of thing. It's been a not very good few months, so it's really nice to just kind of delve back into some fun stuff. Thank you, Floopy and Karen. I appreciate you being here. I'm glad that you had fun, and I hope to see people again pretty soon. And I hope to actually finish the other video. I was gonna say I probably will do a Halloween stream just for people who are bored on Halloween, because it's like a Wednesday or a Tuesday or something like that. It kind of sucks. I'm gonna do my Halloween celebrations. We'll just kind of, watch something or deep dive into an ARG or something truly spooky, Halloween mood sort of thing, for anybody that's bored on Halloween night. So, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm glad you were all here, and I will hopefully see you in not too much longer again. So, thank you guys. Good night.